Good evening. I hope you're having a nice dinner. My name is Jakob Hankevela. I write the Brussels Playbook, and I have the pleasure to welcome on stage Commissioner Thierry Breton. Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for coming. Um, Commissioner, you have a giant portfolio. You're in charge of the internal market, but also industry. You've made this year's Politico 28 as a dreamer, because you're not afraid to think big. You're also not afraid to speak your mind, which is why it's great that I can interview you. You've also written science fiction novels. We only have 15 minutes, but I'm still going to ask you to look into the future. And start with this question. In 10 years' time, where do you see the EU? Where do you see our industry? And can you name maybe 3 sectors that you hope the EU will be leading in?
Well, first, thank you for inviting us. It's a great venue. So, in 10 years from now, the world will continue to evaluate, to move the way we see, with big blocks, of course, the US, Europe, China, and we will need to find, of course, our place with US being our strong allies, but with everything we do, especially since the beginning of this mandate, we change a lot of things to make Europe more resilient, to be also able to exercise the right balance of power, because this is what means politics in these days. So just to give you an example, you asked me regarding of my portfolio. With my team, which is here tonight, by the way, we have worked and presented 35 new legislation since 2.5 years. And we already passed 15 with the co-legislators up and running, like the DSA, like the DNA, like the DMA. We are working now, of course, for the CHIP Act. So if I project myself, in 10 years from now,
these files that you've made,
it will make Europe much stronger, much more, I'll say, able to manage its own destiny on itself, and be a better partner, so stronger partner with our allies.
So think
semiconductors, definitely, right, of course, and we are working here very hard to make sure that, like our US friends, make sure that by 2030, we will be able to produce 20%, like the US, of what is needed in semiconductors in the world. But also the most advanced, of course, semiconductors. We'll be, of course, also able to be a stronger player in space. We are doing a lot of things. And we will be much stronger in defense, okay, which is a very good news for our partners, for NATO, because we are a strong member of NATO, and we want NATO to be stronger, and in order to make NATO stronger, we need to have Europe to be stronger. That's what we will.
Microelectronics, defense, and space, or
definitely.
Aerospace. Great. So given that you've already done so many new initiatives, legislation, Repower EU, the CHIPS Act, but also Next Generation EU and the Recovery Fund, which has billions, to help these 3 sectors, do we need another fund? Do we need more subsidies?
No, it was interesting because when you asked Roberta on this question,
True. I was going to ask you about that.
I could ask you some question to our US friends, because you are lucky enough to be able to print money, to print dollars, to be able to sustain the fund. And for us, of course, what we will do, we don't need another fund. We have already our member states doing a lot of things. Look at Germany. Germany already decided to put on the table 200 billion euros. Part of it, maybe half of it, will be, of course, to support industries. So again, my only point is that we don't need a new fund. What we need is to be able to maintain a level playing field on the single market, and then to allow every single member state to do their own plans. Of course, we want to be coordinated to support clean technologies, clean industry, of course, but to give the same access to the capacity to borrow. Because at the end of the day, we will need to borrow. Germany borrow, Italy will borrow, Netherlands will borrow, everyone will have to borrow this amount. And we want to make sure that, like we did at the beginning of COVID, we will find a way so that every single country, to cope with this very situation, should be able to borrow at the same level. That's personally what I think. Now, of course, we have other options. We are still in discussion, it's still on the table. But I think what is extremely important for me as a commissioner for internal market is to make sure that we give the same chance to any single countries now, because it's happening now.
You're alluding to the Inflation Reduction Act. What's your prognosis? Do you think that if Macron, he was just in the US and met President Biden.
Great visit, by the way. Fantastic.
If President Macron and the TTC and Björn Seibert achieve to convince the US to make these car subsidies non-discriminatory, is that the end of the story? Is the problem solved?
No, let's see. First, just for our US friends, IRA means something in Europe which is not... anyway, but no, to be more serious. First, I would like to say that this act is probably, for me who spend half of my time in the US, I think it's extremely important for the US. And by the way, for President Biden, this is probably one of the biggest, I don't want to comment politics when it's not in Europe, but I see that it's a very big achievement in its mandate. Some even say, but you are experts, that it may have played a role for the midterm elections, where, by the way, a lot of you have been surprised with the result, which we believe was probably an expected result. So for him, it's an extremely important achievement, and of course, I think it will be totally wrong to think that he will be able to change it. So he will not change it. That's a fact. So now, of course, this has an impact on two sides, or two ways. The first one is that for the subsidies. And I should say that it's true that I mentioned it, but President Biden received President Macron. It was fantastic. It was great. And by the way, it's important also in our journey history to have this moment when we share this.
But you think that still that's not going to solve the problem?
But I could tell you that it's true that they had very frank and honest discussion, and that I think that Macron, in the discussion with President Biden, they have been able to open and to discuss. And I have no doubt that now, with the task force that we have, thanks to this opening, we'll be able to find and to solve this issue, which is, I mean, important, but it's a small issue. Now, for the biggest part in terms of subsidies, I mean, okay, it's done. I don't expect any movement, and I think it would be wrong. So we have to do our own job here.
Okay.
Period.
So
and
basically,
this is exactly what we are working on. It is our duty to protect our company if we need to protect them, to give them the subsidies if we need to subsidize, but of course avoiding the subsidy race. But so it is again in our hands,
on
and
that one,
our only hands.
So basically, to summarize, the visit was great.
Great, and a great opening, because I could tell you, you saw the press conference between President Biden and Macron, and both of them said that they will start to clean this issue. Now it's our work and the fantastic work that Björn is doing.
But it's not going to solve the main problem. It's not going to solve the big...
of course not. I mean, it's not because you have
hundreds of billions.
It's not because you have $7,500 per car that it will solve the problems. No, we know.
Okay.
It will be our duty to do it.
So on that one, you mean the EU does need its own new subsidies? So basically, we've entered a subsidy race.
Not on subsidies. Again, it is again what a member state starts to do. Look at what happened, including Netherlands. My job is to make sure that we maintain a level playing field. And this is exactly what I'm working day and night.
Which would be through basically the sovereignty fund. So
the sovereignty fund is something else.
Okay.
Because of course there is also things that we can do, because we know I learned it in order to align our member states. A pretty smart way is to give a top up when you want then to say that to direct them
right,
in specific areas.
like with the defense fund.
Exactly.
Okay.
So maybe this will be a good idea. But we are working on this. But I think it's a pretty, let's say, a powerful tool to align our member states. And
So basically,
for us in Europe,
an EU top-up to convince member
could be
states
that.
to subsidize certain
Could
industries.
be that. Could be a good idea.
Okay.
Our job, and by the way,
I think
as
that's
commissioner,
I think that's the first time you said this.
yeah,
This idea.
our job as commissioner is trying to have a scoop. Huh? So, I mean, but
it's my job, yeah.
I know, and it's my job. I can speak a little bit more than the ambassador for some issues, but I have still to be cautious in some areas.
Since you mentioned the ambassador and the negative effects of the IRA, you know, some of your counterparts in France, Le Maire, have been pretty outspoken, saying that the U.S. has basically profited from this war in Ukraine. What's your view? Has the U.S.
No, I don't like the word
Ukraine?
profit. Of course, this is something I don't know. I don't remember that he said that. But,
Well,
but nobody is profiting. I mean, this is a war. This is a tragic war. We have to cope with it all together. By the way, I want to say that the U.S. is doing a great job, and thank you for that. But I would like also to recognize that Europe is doing also a very important part. And this is why we are allies. By the way, we have been able to welcome 5 million women, children in Europe. It has been
refugees, yeah.
And we have to be ready for after winter to maybe during the winter to do the same. But we also gave today now more than 10 billion in arms to Ukraine. But of course, we are now going to subsidies with 18 billion next year, 105 billion every month to help Ukraine for their budget, but also to make sure that we are sending everything to be able to start again or to build again what Putin is destroying every day in electricity, but also to make sure that we'll be able to provide energy, because now Ukraine has no more energy. So we are doing a lot of things.
So what you're saying is the costs are not shared
We
equally.
are partners, and we are doing, and everyone, of course, is doing a fantastic job, I think, and we need to continue, and we need to be ready to do this, of course, as long as it will be needed.
Let me change topics. You've been very outspoken as well on Twitter since Elon Musk took over. Is it true, when you spoke with Elon Musk, did you threaten that Twitter would be banned in Europe if he doesn't follow EU rules?
I never threat anyone.
Well, did you?
I'm too old for that.
Did you?
It doesn't work.
Did you? Given that.
But it's true that when he said that the bird will be free, I said, fantastic, but in Europe, the bird will fly under our rules. Because guess what? We have rules now in Europe. And it's called the DSA and the DMA. It took us 18 months of fight days and nights. And thank you, by the way, Andreas Schwab is here. And we have all the Parliament, Roberta. We did a fantastic job together. We did it in 18 months.
Okay,
C'était un Himalaya, mais on l'a fait.
Great, so you did these new rules. What if Twitter doesn't follow these rules?
I explained to Elon, and I came to see him in Austin, and I said, look, Elon, now this is what we do in Europe. You know what he told me in Texas? He told me, well, Thierry, but that's exactly what I want to do. I said, look, could you do it in the video? And he did it. And it was the most effective publicity, free, that Elon Musk did, to announce to the world that we have now in Europe the DSA and the DMA to organize our digital space. Now, of course, he bought Twitter. And we have seen that he was a little bit, how should I phrase it, being diplomatic. Aggressive, thank you, Roberta. Aggressive. You did it, huh? Aggressive with the way he started to enter into the company. So I thought it was maybe a good idea, now that he's the owner, to remind him or to tell him this is how you need to organize yourself to benefit from what is today the biggest digital market of the free world. Mm-hmm. We are the biggest Europe digital market of the free world. Mm-hmm. So it's normal that he would like to benefit from it, and we welcome him. Mm-hmm. But I told him, in order to comply to the rules, by the way, they will be enforceable on February 17, he will have to declare and will declare if he is a systemic platform or not. Mm-hmm. I have already my ID. And then in July, he will have to organize everything in the new company. Mm-hmm. So I told him, in order to help you, I'm ready to make a mock audit send my people here. I do this, of course, for other platforms, to make sure that you can organize yourself. Since I understand that you are in the process to hiring new people, I didn't say hiring new people, so at least you could decide what could be the profile. And he said, great, let's do it. So I have no doubt.
So you will send commission officials to look at the Twitter code?
Absolutely, it will be a free one, just to help him.
And Elon Musk agreed to show you the Twitter code.
Not only that, but we will have to be ready to open also the algorithm to make sure that they're compliant with our new rules, and so on, and so on, and so on.
Okay.
But by the way,
but I have to ask again: Did you tell him or did you not tell him that he doesn't follow the rules?
No, I just remind him that unfortunately, I'm coming also from the private sector. I had also a life as a Minister of Finance, but also as running CEO, running companies. I said, I hate sanctions, but we need to put sanctions for the one who will not follow the rules. So I just remind him very nicely and candidly what will be the sanctions, and it goes from 6% of the turnover. I mean, if we look at Twitter turnover, maybe it will be less and less. No, I don't. But I told him that if you continue to do it, we could ban it, and he understand. But
so you did say.
Now you want a scoop, but you want a scoop.
Well, yeah.
So I will give you one scoop.
Okay.
The best part of this discussion, it was last week, was when I said, but Elon, don't you think that since you seem to be so comfortable with our regulations, maybe you could tell to organize it also to do it outside, including for our US friends, because maybe you could, why don't you, if you do it only for Europe, I mean, it would be costly, do it everywhere. I said, that's a good idea. So that's maybe a scoop, we'll see.
Great. I mean, a lot of what you said is interesting. I started asking you to look into the future. I'm going to ask you again to look into the future, but 2025, do you see yourself as the next president of the European Commission?
Jacob. Roberta, it was nice not to speak about the parliament, huh? But no, but Jacob, you start to know me pretty well, right? A little bit. So for the one you know me, I have to be honest, huh? I am a Plan B commissioner. I'm a Plan B commissioner.
But you like the Plan B a lot.
But I was not a Plan A. I have been a commissioner by accident. But I want I will answer your question. But all my life, I have been informed of my next potential job or assignment 15 minutes before. I don't know why, it's my life. So to answer to your question, Jacob, I may be able to consider a new Plan B assignment.
Wow.
If it is a Plan B.
On that note, we're super over time, but it was really interesting. I didn't want to cut off. Thanks very much. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
And see you soon.
I feel sorry for the journalists who are trying to write all the stories off the back of that interview. That was even less of a denial than Roberta's denial. So I think we've got, excuse me. So I think we've got a head-to-head, Roberta versus Thierry in the next for Commissioner of the European. President of the European Commission. So now we've reached the most important moment of the evening, which is when we reveal the #1 most powerful person for 2023 in Europe. I'm just going to allow the video to speak for itself. So we will now play the video and reveal the #1. Drum roll. So, and for the finale, we have a message from the man himself. He recorded it today, just today, this afternoon. We received it just in time before deadline. And now we're going to play the message from the President of Ukraine himself, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for this award to the Ukrainian people. And I mean it, it is destined to all Ukrainians, because leaders can be truly influential only when they represent not only themselves, but the common will, common dream, common goal of their people. This is how we live in Ukraine. We are as united as possible, and that is why we are that strong. We are focused on protecting our independence, and that is why we achieving our goals. We have faced the threat of losing everything, and that is why we have found the strength to become number one. The Ukrainian military, who protect us all on their battlefields, are number one. Mariinka, Avdiivka, Bakhmut, Soledar, Kremina, please remember these names. That is where freedom is now being fought for. For all of us in Europe, in hard battles and at the cost of many lives. Ukrainian businessmen who, despite the total war, supply everything necessary for the life of the country, protect jobs and pay taxes, are number one. And I thank all our friends in Europe who help us maintain stability. Ukrainian doctors, energy workers, sappers, volunteers, drivers and builders, defense workers, teachers, policemen, diplomats, hundreds of thousands of those who help millions live through this terrible time. They are number one. And it is an honor for me to represent all these people, all Ukrainians, and guide our common will for our common dream, for the sake of a common goal, for the sake of Ukraine's victory in this war, for the sake of rebuilding Ukraine, for the full accession of Ukraine to the community of European nations, to our European Union. I believe that Ukrainians will be the most influential next year as well, but already in peacetime. Thanks to everyone who supports us. Thanks you, Politico, for being always unbiased. Slava Ukraini!
We have the Ukrainian ambassador who's just taking a short film on his phone. Thank you so much, sir. And I'd really like to thank your staff. They've been amazing to work with, and I know they do their job and they play their role here in Brussels, fighting for the Ukrainian people. So thank you to them and thank you to you. And now, thank you all so much for being here. Now, please feel free to move through for coffee, dessert, aperitif, digestif. Sorry, I'm starting to learn French. So, digestif. Thank you so much for being here. Slava Ukraini. Good night.
This is an age of disruption, of profound revolutionary change.
What we're really asking ministers is to empower the ambassadors.
The only thing that you really push forth is the truth.
You don't see many women represented when it comes to the decisions as to how to handle the pandemic.